So, as she just explained, my name is Mark. My company is called Kinda, as in Kinda, as in we are trying to kindle education in Korea, learning in Korea. We're actively trying to do exactly what the gentleman just before me had said he didn't know how to do. Right? We're trying our best, and it's difficult because of this guy, the legacy of this guy right here, right? But we have to try to figure it out. You know, we can. When you come from a system like this, you know, you are in the system, you go to school in the system like this, and then you discover what it's all about. You start seeing other modes of doing things, and then you build up some form of resentment, right? So maybe now's the point of resentment. Now's the point of sort of judging it on its own merits and thinking this has to stop. We have to change it in some way. Well, how do we do that? We're not just going to have a revolution immediately, right? We need to figure out some sort of transition. And what's exciting to me is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to try to talk directly to these younger kids and maybe, in effect, hopefully signal to some of you guys that are so passionate and pissed about the current situation, about how you go from what it is right now to the ultimate point of where it's going to be. So, let me start with this. So, 내가 말하기 전에 그 다른 사람들은 다 아주 어려운 영어로 얘기하고 있었지, 학생들. 그죠? 근데 우리 중학생, 초등학생 위해서 내가 좀 심플한 영어로 얘기하려고 하는데요. 그래서 Hi. My name is Mark. 그거 어려운 거야? 어렵다면은 저 자막도 나오게 됐었는데 한번 좀 읽어보세요. My name is Mark. I care about space exploration. Space exploration is very cool. I want to go to the moon. I hope. Please make that happen. You're gonna make that happen, right? Okay, thank you. I care about surfing. I love to go to NewNeung and do surfing. It's very cool. And I really care about 창조 and 교육. I really care about innovation. I really care about creativity. I really care about education. To me, you know, this is the mechanism that puts the tailwinds on all, you know, the ability for us humans to be able to solve the difficult problems and do interesting things. Make ourselves happy by the process of doing it. Make others happy by the process of doing it. Maybe the ultimate point of existence is to maximize the total long-term happiness and contentment that exists on Earth, maybe, right? So I would see education as a vehicle to accomplish that, both on a personal level, myself finding what it is that I can do that would make me contented and happy as an individual person, and how I can contribute, or how anybody can contribute to that overall contentment for all sentient beings. 그래서 한꺼번에 그 중학생 위해서 얘기하는 거고 50%는 그 다른 그 민사고 학생들 위해서 얘기하는 거지. 미안해요. So I care about innovation. I care about things like that. I think we all do to some extent. But this was me. This was me when I heard about SeuNeung. And SAT is kind of the same thing. But why? What is the effect of SeuNeung? So I would invite everybody here that's feeling some resentment and feeling a bit judgmental about the way that the Korean education system has wreaked its havoc on yourself or on your friends or whatever, and just look at it a little bit objectively and think about what it is exactly that it's doing. We are all born to think and create. 이거 이해할 수 있는 사람 손 들어. Good. Okay. We all think like this, right? We are born curious. We're born creative. We are born like our ancestors coming down from the tree and picking that thing up and going down to the killed zebra and taking a bite and just wondering what else we can do with our hands, you know, what else we can do with our voice, and eventually getting to a point where we can make a microphone and stand up on stage in front of other people talking about bizarre concepts. But what is SeuNeung? So here's how I view what SeuNeung is. SeuNeung takes a very small sliver of human intelligence and says this is all we can accomplish with the system that there is, you know, with the structures and with the technologies that we've been afforded through the past 50 years. We have to try to measure intelligence. What's the best possible way we can do that? And this was the best possible way until now. You define a small sliver of all that you can possibly measure on a standardized scale, because that's what you need to do in order to go through the system as it currently is right now, and call that intelligence. And that's these very few things right here, right? I mean, they're important things, and they might signal a greater propensity to think in some way, but it has this effect. It has the effect of having everyone focus on that small sliver and considering every other mode of thinking to be a distraction. If you think about the pie chart of your free time as a person on this planet, and you know that you have to perform for the eyes of this man over here, it's just a misallocation. This man doing anything else, right? And this man, what he doesn't like happens, right? But that's just natural, because you're performing for these eyes. Exactly, that's my point. So this fades away, you know? The SeuNeung effect is that these fade away, and now you're focusing on only one specific thing. It's just tactical. You should be doing that, right? In the context of the system, but whoa, this is what ends up happening, right? You have tons of people all thinking of exactly, not thinking of exactly the same way, but exercising the same mental muscles over and over and over and over again, and developing the same mode of thinking, developing the same mental strengths. It is a mental strength, but it's a very small and delineated mode of thinking. However, things are changing. They're changing slowly. Maybe too slowly for everybody as passionate as they are today, but it does seem to be changing. And I apologize if I don't have all of the information on what's going on right here and what the current changes are. But from what I can see, they're at least starting to move in a very interesting direction. So 중학생들은 이런 것이 무슨 말인지 이해할 수가 있는지 잘 모르겠지만, 이거 서울대 대학 신입 학생 수시 모집 안에 따라서는 이런 말을 나왔었고, 내가 인터넷에서 검색했을 때, 그래서 수능에서만 집중하는 게 아니라 요새는 다른 것들은 집중하고 있잖아요. 그래서 이렇게 서울대 발표했었잖아요. 서울대 어떤 학생들은 수시 시스템으로 원서 할 때 이런 거 평가하는 거예요. Is that right? 평가? Can I say that? I don't know. They're looking at self-motivation, interest in the major, intellectual curiosity, overall creative and innovative potential. Are they actually doing that when they evaluate it? We can't be sure. But at least they're talking about it, and they're on a path to doing so. That's incredibly exciting. That's amazing. I mean, that brain that's focused only on that one small sliver, now you have a reason to do something else. And it's built into the system itself. That's incredible. So what does that mean? Well, now, and this was also true to some extent in American and Western forms of higher education, but now we still have the 대학 입학원서 man, and he's still looking at what you're thinking about. But he's thinking of all of these things and wondering if you have that. So he doesn't only look at SeuNeung or SAT. He's also looking at this. 관심이 생겨서 더 알려고 노력했던 거. They also care about that very much. So not just SeuNeung, but also 자기의 관심 뭐인지. It's very important. It's very exciting for you. Wow. Oh yeah. So it's through this thing, through whatever it is, that you can develop all these other things that they're looking at and become the 인재 that they're looking for. So, whoa, what am I doing here? Now, how do you go from a tiny little 관심 to developing this? How do you go from just a small student with the 관심 to somebody who's very powerful, the 인재 that we all want? How do you do that? So I have two words here. I don't know if 내밥 is right. I think on a different slide, I think I changed it to 내 음식 and 내 운동. But basically, your 관심, 지금 가지고 있는 관심 plus brain food and brain workout, you can be 인재. So brain food 무슨 말인지. I will tell you a story, okay? Now, I have worked in this industry that has been slandered many times so far as a, 명문대 입학원서 consulting person before. So I have helped many students to get into good places. I want to tell a story about one kid in particular. So one student, he was 10, okay? He was Korean in Seoul. And one day, he was walking to school, and at his 초등학교에서, there was a big 거미줄, very big 거미줄. And there was a huge spider in the 거미줄. And he passed by and saw the spider, and he was kind of scared. So he just ran away. Next day, again, spider. He's a little curious. What? No, he goes back again. Next day, again. Next day, again. Next day, 거미를 무슨 맛인지 갑자기 생각났었는데 그 학생이. 그래서 먹어버려서. Really? 다른 학생 앞에서 그냥 먹어버렸었잖아. 그래서 그때까지 그 다른 학생들은 그 학생에게 뭐 불러 했었는지 알아? Spiderman이라고 했었잖아. From that day, everybody called him Spiderman. And he thought of himself as 자기가 Spiderman이라고 생각했으니까 수업 중에서 거미에 대해서 얘기했을 때마다 집중하고 있었잖아. 그래서 그 코스로 자기의 관심 만들고 있었잖아. So every time in biology class or science class or just walking down the street, anytime there was some kind of an insect, he paid a little bit closer attention to it. Then Okay, 내 음식 this time. The brain food. He gave himself some brain food. What was the brain food? He got the book about spiders. 그래서 수업 중에서 읽는 게 아니라 그냥 개인적으로 읽는 거죠. 그냥 관심이었으니까. So he read the books about spiders. He watched YouTube videos about spiders. I'm completely afraid of spiders. I can't even believe I'm talking about them right now. So I would never do such a thing, but he did. And he told his parents, I love spiders, Mom. Please, I want to learn more about spiders. 그래서 엄마가 어떤 대학의 생물학 교수실로 들어갔을 때는 그 교수님 앞에서 거미에 대해서 많은 얘기했었잖아요. And 내 운동, 먹는 게 아니라 그냥 운동해야 하잖아. So his brain workout was paying very close attention in science class. He went with his father camping many times. 지방으로 갔을 때는 캠핑했을 때는 거미 잡았었잖아. 자세히 볼 수 있도록. He eventually, when he got to high school, he was doing some crazy stuff, right? He's not just reading books and watching YouTube. He's doing some hardcore research, right? He's going and talking to is it entomology, or I can't remember the word for studying insects, but whatever it is, he went to that guy, found the top guy in Korea and said, I love that stuff, hook me up, I want to help you, I care. And he's like, never heard about somebody actually caring about something before, come on in, help me out this summer, that'd be awesome. So what happened to him? Well, 열심히 공부했는데, 물론 해야 하니까 어쩔 수 없게. So he studied for the SeuNeung. He studied for the SAT very hard, just like anybody has to do. But he also had the 거미 관심. And because of the spider interest, he had biology power. So, Columbia University, Ivy 대학이잖아. 서울대 and Cornell. He got into all of those places. Now, I'm not saying that, the correct measure of a person's intelligence is necessarily where they get into and things like that. But he went to Cornell. Cornell happens to have the oldest and most, best entomology graduate school in the world, supposedly, and that's where he is. So I consider that to be a success. You can be innovative. All of you guys can be innovative. You can speak English. 민사고 학생처럼. Really, you can. Everybody is creative. Everybody has a power in your mind. You can go to these places if you want. All of you can go to these places if you want. How? How can you go to these places? Number one, study hard. Okay? 엄마의 명령 따라서 열심히 공부하라고. Okay? That's very important. 그런데 추가 한 점이 find your 관심. 자기만의 나의 뇌 속에서 무슨 관심이 있는지 아주 열심히 찾아야 되잖아. Okay? 친구끼리로 가는 게 아니라 그냥 자기만의 있는 관심 찾아야 되잖아. Number two, feed your 관심. Number three, give your 관심 many workouts. Please. Number four, enjoy your life. You are 인재. So, I guess the point to all of the people that can speak English at this level, there's a lot of ideological discussion, And I can tell there's a lot of resentment about the system and the way that it works, and that's the perfect stage, that's the right stage to be in, you know? The next stage is to figure out pragmatically what to do, and to try to make steps to doing that. And in order to do that, you know, you can dream of a revolution, but ultimately you have to work slowly in the context at every single stage to figure out how to get there. That's what we're trying to do right now, right? So we know we share this, we feel your pain, okay? We definitely feel your pain. We definitely share your general philosophy about the ideal situation and the way that humans should learn, whether they're Korean or American or from any other country. And it's just mental workouts, isn't it? But at the end of the day, we can present that, and the market wants what the market wants. So you have to figure out where are those points that can be changed. It's very exciting that there's this sushi style of entrance examination in this country. I think that'll have incredible effects. We are trying to design things in a way that give quality experiences to students while still appeasing sort of what parents are interested to pay for in that context. And through that way, as long as we can give kids something fun to do and something compelling to do that they're just going to find interesting, and if it's making parents feel, and it's legitimate, that this is some sort of, you know, assisting in providing the correct tailwinds in the path that ultimately leads to this whole day in Harvard and all these other places. That has real change, right? And ultimately, I think in this structure where you have students aware of the responsibility of to know themselves and to look at what they're interested in and what they're good at, there's huge potential here. The potential here is that you start to change, it goes from a top-down structure to a bottom-up structure. You start to cast off the current system as it is right now, and the format and the operating system of the Korean education infrastructure or the global education infrastructure. And you start saying, I'm not so interested in a math hagwon. I'm interested in building a virtual reality experience because that just sounds cool. And then you accidentally get good at physics, and you accidentally get good at English because you have to read what the latest people are doing online. And you accidentally get good at all of these other things that are the measure of intelligence. So my challenge to you, Min Sago-seng, is that you have a responsibility now. You have a cognizance that maybe other students your own age don't necessarily have, or maybe they do, but you definitely have an ability to do something about it. And I hear a lot of ideological cognizance, and it's fantastic. You can make the solutions. You have the ability to make those solutions. And the technology exists right now for this sort of bottom-up thing to start happening. How can you use an app to deliver an educational experience that's custom built for exactly what a kid wants and needs? Figure that out, and let's change the world. Thank you.